I'm still here. Welcome to Can Angels Fly Tarot and More. My name is Nancy, and today I'm here to have or this evening I'm here to have a general discussion. It is currently August 2020. Um, Today I think I'm here to talk about augmented reality. Augmented reality. I just got a few notes. I'm just talking and sharing. A week or so ago, I had this realization, and I shared it with the members of my family, and they could concur. They concurred that what I had perceived was accurate, and I'll go into details about what that is as I progress through this live stream. I don't believe it'll be long because I'm just really touching base. I do plan to read the tarot cards in the next couple of days. We'll see how it goes. Anywho, I don't even know if you can hear me. I have to do a sound check. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the live to see if I can hear feedback, because I had an issue with not being heard a couple of weeks ago. Alright, in the next couple of days, we'll see how it goes. Okay, I can hear myself. I think that will suffice. Anywho. So earlier today, I was like, I'm going to look at the stars, some asteroids, in relationship to the astrological alignments for this particular time period to see what they suggest. And I was shocked to see what I saw in the, astrological alignment, just looking at asteroids. The theme or the subject matter that is suggested in the astrological alignments, or the asteroids alignments, is a subject matter that I've discussed before on my channel. And the subject matter is about who holds the power or authority to help manipulate what's created in our reality. Hi, 1-2, what you doing up this late? It's currently 2 o'clock in the morning where I am. And so I just wanted to touch base and share what I've, been looking at. So I'm having a hard time articulating a lot of concepts. Usually in the past, whenever I made videos, I really set up and meditated on subject matters and pondered them to figure out what terminology I could use and how I could articulate different subject matters, themes, and concepts effectively. And it's really draining. It really is draining to do that. And so today, when I started to go through that kind of meditation and pondering to get, the most effective terms and most practical terms, I just found I got ended with a headache. That's why I started this live stream like this. I was like, I can't do it. Making my head hurt. So I might use different terms interchangeably to try to express the ideas, concepts that are present in the asteroids, the alignment of the asteroids. And so, as I was saying, the message that I'm picking up has to do with personal authority and power, as far as being able to be a visionary, to be able to foresee, to have forethought and foresight, and to be able to manipulate others that exist in our reality to help us bring about our desired outcome or our desired reality. the best way I could kind of offer what do you call it, an analogy of it, is like looking at it from a political perspective of how politicians and the powers and the people that are in power manipulate the masses to like get on board with them in order to bring certain things into reality. It's like making somebody believe they came up with the idea or the concept, or and so they push to promote it, but all along it was, you know, the goal or the project or the vision has been subliminally fed to a person. It is not a person's original idea or thought. And so that's what am I talking about right now? I'm trying to talk about what message exists relative to just the asteroids. And so it's like, how do you want your reality? How do you want your reality to be? You have to have a vision of that. And then, because you have to take in consideration that even though you have a particular vision you like to manifest, it doesn't mean that everybody else is going to agree with you. So a person has to not only have the vision, they have to have the forethought about how to manipulate circumstances and situation and people to want that vision as well. And so the asteroids alignments talk about people that possess these various skills to be able to be the visionary, to see the bigger picture, and to be able to know what needs to be done, what tricks need to be played in order to get people on board to help create that reality. Whenever I talk about any astrological energies, I also point out that these energies impact our impact us in our individual lives as well as on a global scale. You know, it's the macro and micro world that these energies influence. And so again, it's easier to see it when I talk about politics and how you know, people are, what is it, you know, persuaded to back something up, you know, but it's harder to see it like in our own personal lives, like who holds the power, who controls what is really created. I guess it's so difficult for me to talk about. It's so difficult because in past times I've also shared that, like in our own personal worlds and our intimate spaces, we are co-creators. We co-create our reality with the people that we cohabitate with, like our family members, our kids. An example of this co-creation process is like in your own home. You may have like for instance, you might have your bedroom decorated a particular way because it really reflects your style. Where you may have your children's room, they may decorate their room a whole different way because it, you know, reflects their style or what they're interested in or what's trending for their age bracket. Then you may have a spouse, and that spouse has a man cave or a lady cave, and they decorate it, you know, in a way that reflects them. But your overall home is your co-creative project. That's the small micro expression. Then it gets a little bigger, and then it's your community. Well, an example is you take care of your home a particular way. Your home is painted a particular way. Your landscaping is particular or unique to your style and your liking. Um, everything from the grooming of the shrubbery, if you have a garden, if you have like a what do you call it, a rock garden, if you're um, if you have laid your driveway, you know uh, straight, or if you have a curved driveway, that's an expression of your style. um, where your neighbors could be completely different. It could be completely different. You could live in a community where the homes are identical, but as you go from one house to the other, there are differences. Like some people have wreaths on their doors. Others, like I said, have rock gardens. Others have this, and so it is that unique identity that's associated with your home. But your home is a part of a street or a block, and so it's a collective project, or uh, 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 what is it? What do I always call it? I've been saying it since the beginning of the video. A collaborative effort. You know, um, who holds the power? Who really, really holds the power? You know, in those cases, who holds the power? Because the asteroid alignment is talking about the people that actually hold the power. Who holds the power? Going back to the examples I gave, in your home, who holds the power? Is it the person that the mortgage name is in? Do they truly hold the power? Because they can pull all the shots out and call control over the environment, and say, okay, we changing the color of the house. Oh, everybody's bedroom's gonna be like this, if they so desire. If the house is in their name, and everything is in their name, they can get, take control of it. On a block, who actually holds the power in that community? Well, if it's I don't know, like a gated community, it's whomever owns those cumulative properties, that have a particular uh, design to the houses, the unifying design of the houses. They actually hold the power. And so it's talking about these people that actually hold the power. And the question then is, what allots them that power? Going back to my examples, one thing, the first one is the person has the home in their name, the mortgage is in their name, or the deed is in their name, and all the bills and utilities are in their name. They hold the power. The second example, well, is the person that owns all the community properties, unified community properties. They hold the power. But again, when I'm talking about these energies, it goes from the smallest to the largest, or from the micro to the macro. So the same concept and questions are asked on a global scale. Who holds the power? Because whoever holds the power is like the grand architect. It's the grand architect. What's really going on right now here, August 2020, in the midst of all our current events? What's really, really going on? Do any of us really know? I'm not sure we do. And so what do? Consult the cards, and consult the stars and the asteroids, and I meditate and contemplate. I stopped. I did all I could do to try to make the subject matter that I'm going to cover make sense. Now I have to change over, or jump over to my personal experience excuse me, that has led me to make this live stream. As mentioned, I think it was a little over a week ago, I had this realization. It's not the first time I had this realization, but it just keeps returning to me. It just kept returning to me over years. And so a week or so ago, I didn't ignore it, and I really, again, pondered on it, and then I brought it up to the members of my family, and they agreed with what I had kept putting off for all these years. So remember, I think that this video, in the title, it may be augmented. The term augmented reality may be a part of it. So I'll try to make it make sense as I move forward. So what I realized, let me say this. So this is TMI. This is my life, in order to, you know, try to make what is actually occurring at this point in time make sense. So I talk about my life. I moved on my very own when I was 19, and I've been on my own ever since. So the first place I stayed was in an apartment. As a resident in an apartment, I didn't have to worry about what they call it, yard work, landscaping and stuff. I didn't have to worry about that. But after I moved out that apartment, I moved in a home. Once I was in a home, I've always rented homes. As a homeowner or a renter, was a resident of a home, a person's responsibilities greatly increase. Everything from having to pay every utility, maintenance of the home or the property, and then it's the yard work and the shoveling the snow and this and this that. But I realized in my early years that every house that I lived in, I never had to cut the grass. It wasn't a thing. And I had beautiful homes with both front yards and backyards and everything else. I never had to cut grass. Never. Then one day, I'll say, one time period in my life, I'm a renter. So I moved into a home, a house. And just like the rest of the houses I had, I never had to cut the grass. It never was an issue. The front, the back, never. Never had to hire anybody. It wasn't a part, or a growing lawn wasn't a part of my consciousness. Or what do you say? The shrubbery and bushes going wild was not a part of my experience. It wasn't part of my consciousness. And so I just recall going into the backyard of this house I had rented. And so I'm standing at the gate, and I'm just staring at the gate. And at that time, I had a neighbor. She's an older white woman. And so she comes up to me, and she just hands me over the fence like edge cutters. Edge cutters. And so I looked up at her, and I said thank you, and I took the edge cutters, I think it was called. Every time I get on here. And so why was I standing there looking at the gate? For the first time as a renter, I watched vines were growing up my gate, and the grass was like I'll say about 3 or 4 inches high on the gate, cascading into my yard, low, like what is this, cascading or fading out into nicely cut grass. So I'm looking at this stuff on the fence like, where did this come from? Where did this come from? So anyway, the neighbor, as I see it, gave me some like edge cutters or something. So I'm like looking at these edge cutters, like, what the hell? Where did this come from? You know, this overgrowth, I'll say. Never had that happen before. I was like, it was never a part of my consciousness. That's what I'm trying to get across. So anyway, I cleaned up that fence that was between me and my neighbor. I cleaned up the fence and, you know, got the little grass down. I was like, wow. Soon after, that was never another problem. Never another problem, no more grass growing or anything like that. Years went on again. I never had to trim grass or cut grass or trim, you know, the shrubbery and, you know, yard work. Then, when I moved here, where I live now, and I've been here like 12 years now. My grass, well, y'all know I live in Detroit. Where I live at, there are a lot of lots, and the lots are from homes that's been demolished. Now the grass has grown into fields. So anyway, now I'm in this new community years and years later, and one day I look out the window. This is after being in this community several years. I was already here about 2 years. 2 or 3 years, so I went to 2 or 3 summers. And one day I look out and the grass had started growing. It started with the fence, like that lady, and it was like these I call them the whooping switches. Started growing, the tree started just growing crazy, and the grass started cascading down the fence. I was like, wow. So all this time, when I say it had been years, it had been years. I'm talking about like 15 years easy. Yeah, it'd be about 15 years easy. By that time. 15 years easy. No grass. Having beautiful lawns, having not to deal with, again, caring for the lawn and the trees and bushes and stuff. Y'all just gotta ride the way with me. I'm gonna try to make it make sense. So I was like, what the hell? And so immediately I go back in time to when my neighbor handed me the weed whacker or whatever it was over the fence. It was the same thing. And I'm looking like, where did this come from? So I cleaned it up, cut it down, cut the tree back, everything. I go get the tools to do it, because I ain't got the tools to do it. So I clean it all up. 2 weeks later, the grass is starting to grow. It's starting to spread from that tree. I don't know what the tree called. It's like little whooping stick branches you could take off and peel the leaves off. It's just growing crazy out of the gate, and the grass got high there, and then it was, you know, cascading down until it faded out to a beautiful yard. 2 weeks later, that had all grown back, and the grass has, you know, spread out higher. So I'm cleaning, and you know, every 2 weeks I'm going out there, it's getting more and more and more and more. It's like it was growing. My reality was changing, and I'm saying I'm watching it change. Okay, so that summer, every 2 weeks, by the time that summer ended, I was not only cutting my front yard and backyard. It's a lot to the left of me. It's a lot to the right of me. It spread. The grass grew and grew and grew. And a lot across the street, a double lot. That year, that growth started on that fence. By the end of the summer, all of my yard and all the lots I'm talking about, the grass started growing and growing crazy. First it was every 2 weeks, then it was every week. I was out here cutting all these fields. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Now mind you, all the houses I ever rented, I didn't have to cut grass. It's like it never grew. It was not a part of my consciousness. Always had pretty yards. I might put some flowers out there on the porch or something. Didn't have to do nothing. It was nobody cutting it. It just wasn't a part of my consciousness. I'm trying to go somewhere with this. Y'all ride the wave with me if you will. So, the next year after that, I'm saying, that year, that very first year, my neighbors kept sitting out. They would sit outside and stare at me. They would stand like on the walkway and stare at me. I'm like, why is these people staring and not getting out here cutting the grass? They gotta see the grass is growing. And it wasn't, it was like how could I say, it was like they were bewildered, like I was the time that the older lady handed me the weed whacker or whatever it was over the fence, just standing there like, what the fudge is going on here? And at the time, it didn't dawn on me what was taking place. Now, mind you, now the neighbors are out standing just in the middle of the walkway staring, mouth wide open, eyes are staring, sitting on the porch staring. It's just staring. Y'all got to catch it now, because I'm not saying it all right. Their grass never grew. Their grass never grew either. So, as the growth of the grass started to spread, or the consciousness that grass would grow, and then you got to put the work in to tame it. As that consciousness grew, my neighbor's grass started growing. Now, I've been here going on 5 years. Nobody grass ever grew it in the beginning. It started at my house. So by the third or fourth year, I was like, this is getting crazy. It took second or third year, the grass started getting crazy. It was just expanding. And I don't know what I was doing the first time. I was like, I know it started small and it got big to the point I had to save up and invest and prepare for that next summer, just in case. And I'm happy I did. And I went and bought a lawnmower for $600. And so I was out there cutting all this grass. And it was at one year, it was every single week I was cutting this grass. My neighbors is outside staring at me like, not so much me, it was like they were coming and getting in, they were being affected by the consciousness that was there. And what consciousness am I talking about? I'm talking about the growth and overgrowth of grass and shrubbery. Something that had not in prior existed. Let me stop. I know this is not making sense to y'all right now. You just have to ride the wave with me. I will make it make sense in a minute. Another important fact about where I currently live is that I'm the new kid on the block. As I mentioned, I've been here 12 years. Everybody else that's on my block, this is their parents' home they inherited. So these people, families been over here 50 plus years. I say that for a reason. Because nobody on my block had any yard tools. No lawnmowers, no edge cutters, no weed whackers, no nothing. Nothing. Why? Because it wasn't an issue. Grass growing, trees overgrown was not an issue at all. I know this sounds crazy. And so at that time, during that period when all of this stuff was taking place, and I'm going crazy. I'm telling y'all, I'm going crazy because I feel like I was like in this perpetual hell. And the hell was grass. It was grass. So eventually, I'm talking about over summer after summer after summer. We're going to say over 4-year period, 4 or 5-year period. That after my neighbor stood there and watched me being overtaken by grass, their grass started growing. And they, like I did, they turned and looked at their lawn and saw their grass began to grow. The consciousness was there. Every last one of my neighbors came to ask me to use my brand new lawnmower. Every last one of them. And we're not talking about people that don't have. We're talking about people that are, number one, they are inheritors of their family home. They are working people, beautiful homes, kept homes, yard, kept the yards look kept because they never grew. So they put a couple of plants out there. You just keep going, keep playing, keep doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they didn't have. It wasn't like I'm on a block full of women. Everybody's married, except for who. I don't know how do I talk about it, because I'm going somewhere with this, and I'm talking about I started this live stream talking about who is the master, who is the grand architect of our reality, of your reality. And then I moved into talking about my own story. And I'm sharing this story because I'm talking about augmented reality. I'll try to make it make sense as soon as I get through with my TMA. So everybody asked, could they use my lawnmower? Everybody started waking up. I could see them waking up. And everybody starting to cut their lawn now. And it kept going on and on and on and on. Till they end up having to go. One neighbor after the other had to go buy a lawnmower. They went and bought lawnmowers. And then the next year was this next lawn tool, for the tree cutters and the weed whackers and the edgers and the this and the lawnmowers, until the riding lawnmowers. Because it got just like that. Riding lawnmowers. Now I got a couple of neighbors with riding lawnmowers. Everybody got lawnmowers. Even the older lady down the block got a little electric lawnmower. Her grass started growing too. I'm telling you, I know it sounds weird, but nobody grass ever grew. Now everybody is to the point where it is, I can tell that we're all exhausted with it. With what? Maintaining the lawn, maintaining the shrubbery. If I could just make this make sense. Remember, I started my story talking about how the grass never grew. It was just perfect. It was perfect, literally. Beautiful, plush, green grass. Perfect length. Throw a couple of flowers outside. Like a suburban neighborhood, it's really nice. And it went from that all the way to now it's overgrown. It was overgrown. We constantly having to, like I said, it was a time that we were all out there every single weekend, sometimes twice a week, cutting. It was like this perpetual hell, and the hell was grass. It was grass. Why do I tell that tale? Let me see if I can move forward. I'm trying to go somewhere with this. Why do I tell that tale? It is because I realized, I kept believing or knowing this fact that my reality was changed or augmented by the older Caucasian ladies years ago reality. That was her consciousness. That was her experience. And that's why the grass and the shrubbery began to grow on the gate between she and I. And it cascaded down into my yard. Nowhere else. And she was the one that handed that weed whacker or whatever it was over the fence years ago. Her reality was superimposed on the map, causing the grass to grow. But when I moved from that house, I cleaned it up. I ended up moving from that house shortly after. It broke that influence. Didn't have the problem again until I got over here, and that fence over there, it started again. And my mind immediately went back to that time period, the way the grass and the shrubbery or tree, whatever it was, is growing out the gate, and how it continued to grow week after week, year after year, until it ended up affecting everybody in my neighborhood. Everybody. I augmented my neighbor's reality. I augmented it. And initially, my consciousness or my reality was influenced or augmented by the older lady's reality many years ago. Who holds the power in creating your reality? I don't know. Let's see. Aries, Capricorn, Sun, Rose, Rise, what is my Sun, Capricorn, man? I'm not doing that right now, but thank you for dropping by, Miss Martinez. How are you? So, in this last week, I've had a Mandela effect. That's where you think something is one thing, but find out it's something totally different. So what was my Mandela effect? As I pondered my past experiences relative to grass and my reality being augmented, and then me passing it on to my current neighbors, augmenting their reality, I thought about this scripture that was introduced to me in the Bible when I was in the church. And the scripture went something like this. It says, in the midst of the saints, a miracle would appear. I'm going to state it again. I would say quote, but it's a Mandela effect. The scripture said, in the midst of the saints, a miracle would appear. When I thought about that verse, scripture, I went to Google it. And when I Googled it multiple times, it didn't come up under anything, as if it didn't even exist. But I know from when I was in the church, it says, in the midst of the saints, a miracle will appear. Nope, couldn't find it. Mandela effect. But that's okay. But what I did find was this verse. And I guess this is, close as I could get. It is Matthew's chapter 18, verse 20. And it reads, for where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them. That's as close as I could get. Well, what am I talking about? What is all of this rambling about? The same experience that I've shared with you in my TMI that I had about my reality being augmented by my neighbor years ago, and then me passing it forward to my current neighbors, is what is spotlighted in the messages that are offered by the asteroids. Who is truly the creator of your reality, of our reality? Augmented reality. What do I mean when I say augmented reality? The best example I can give of what I mean by augmented reality is to ask you to refer back to a game that was created some years ago, and it was called Pokemon Go. I don't know if y'all remember that or not. Pokemon Go was a game of augmented reality. And if I recall right, it was something like this. That you could turn like your camera on your phone. And of course it picked up your literal physical reality. You could see just everything. And then the game was superimposed on top of your reality that you were viewing through the camera of your phone. And every now and then, a little Pokemon will pop up right in the middle of your yard, as an example, or down the street. And people that played the game were prompted to chase the little Pokemon and catch them. That's an example of what I mean by augmented reality. In a real physical world, the Pokemon didn't exist. It was the technology that superimposed into our reality. That there was, we can say, Pokemon present in our vicinity. I don't know how to say it. Even though they were in another realm, you say, you know, I don't know. That game prompt players to accept that there were creatures in our reality that we were only able to see if we, you know, access the app or the game. It was that app or game that augmented our reality. How do I say this? That's why I've been procrastinating doing this. It's important. The message is important. But it's really, really complex. Because the stuff that I'm talking about right now, as strange as it sounds, is what's taking place in our real physical experience. And it is relative to the pandemic, to the quarantine, to the economy being weak, to people dying, to everything that is going on. It's all relative. It's so complex, at least to me, that it's hard to, you know, discuss. I think that we people could do much better in life if we could see, you know, collectively what's really, really taking place. It's so much deeper than we think. It's so much deeper than we've been led to believe. How can I say it? It's so deep. See, it's so real to me. I can see it. I understand it. But it's hard for me to articulate it. Again, it's pretty complex. Augmented reality. I'm going to give you an example. And it's a very arrogant example. You know, I'm biased. I've been here on YouTube, I think 5 years, maybe 6. I think I came 2012 or something like that. Or 14, something like that. I can't remember. And I started off reading tarot. And showing my creative flair here on YouTube. And my channel began to grow rapidly. But then I got serious. I wanted to show the people who I really am. That didn't go well. Y'all always hear me complain about it. But when I went serious and I started talking about the things I've learned in my life and my spiritual experiences, things started going south. But what I know now is that I augmented the reality here on YouTube. I'm not the only person I know. I won't be that arrogant to say it was just me. But I know a lot of the, terms, or the vocabulary overall, the lingo. I hear a lot of people talking about ride the wave. These are things that I know I bought to YouTube. That was my terminology. Those words, those statements came from my life experiences. And now they're everywhere. I augmented the reality here on YouTube. Right now, no matter what channel I entertain, meaning I go view, I hear the same terminology I set up and meditated and contemplated on. Remember, I catch the headache because I meditate and contemplate so hard in order to figure out how to articulate these various concepts and themes and subject matters to y'all. I always have. And again, I know I'm not the only one that has touched on the things that I've touched on. Let me think of some examples. Like ascension. I talked about ascension too. But I know I brought to the table the descension. It wasn't just about the ascension. It was also about the descension. I had been talking about it. Now it's common. It's across the board. It's been quite a few things that I've spoken about, that I lived, that I studied because they were my interests, because I lived them and I didn't understand why I was having experiences. My point of saying is that, like when I talked about riding a wave, I explained where I got the term from the very first time that I used it. I talked about having an experience with an angel coming to visit me and being raptured by an angel, and riding that wave. And I've talked about the other waves that I rode on my journey. And now, again, that's broad. And I bring that up because I augmented reality now here on YouTube, where when a person here ride the wave, they understand. When they hear ascension and descension, we understand. My whole point is now everybody's conscious of what it means to ascend and descend. Everybody's aware now, basically, of what it means to ride the wave. And in this, I could do a whole video on that. I would have to sit and do what? Meditate and contemplate on it. But I'm going somewhere with this. I know that I've had an impact here on YouTube. That's what I do. Always have. So, oh, absolutely. Hi, thank you, Victoria. I work for the government, and what our wood is being told is totally different than what is actually truth. Exactly. Okay. So, augmented reality. Okay, let's see. I want to give you some examples of other augmented reality type games. I mentioned Pokemon Go. Then they have one out here. I don't know anything about it. Just Googled it. It's Harriet Potter's Wizards, Ingress, Jurassic World, Alive. Maybe you can look it up and see or experience the augmented reality for yourself. The Walking Dead, Our World, a Ghostbusters World, Nightfall, Father 10 ARFPS, Brickscape, Spirit Cam, IKEA Place. A lot of people like IKEA Place. Air Measure. And then they also have Instagram augmented realities, beauty _ $, GTA3, Gift for Queen, Cyberpunk, Angel Wings. I don't know the name of the application that my young adults use, but I think it's part of Instagram, and they always taking pictures of themselves and they call them filters, and that's augmented reality. It is a picture of them in real physical time whenever they take the picture, but they may have some cat ears on and a cat nose, or they may have a halo on or something like that, or some sunglasses superimposed upon their face. That's an example of augmented reality. All right, let's see. So those type of games and apps, we voluntarily participate with. They're fun to us, they're entertaining to us, and you know, because some of them consume our time, you know. Augmented reality. How can I do this? Okay. What I did is I began to really research the term, the word augment or augmented, in order to get a true understanding about what it means for something to be augmented. And in this case, what am I talking about? I'm talking about augmented reality. Your reality. Our reality. And so what I got when I broke down the term augmented, it talks about two like condition. I don't even know if I'm gonna say this right. Let's say the AU in the term augmented is to where? To what? To the G in psychology represents one's general intelligence. If you're riding away with me, what am I doing? I'm breaking down the word augmented, and I'm doing so for a reason. I ultimately am going somewhere with this, and where I'm going is important because it's what we're actually dealing with at this point in time, August 2020. The term augmented. The AU is to the where? Well, to the G. In psychology, the letter G is an abbreviation for your general intelligence. So to the, or to your general intelligence, there is a process or action, ED, taking place. What am I saying? Your psyche is being manipulated. Your intelligence is being manipulated relative to what? Your reality, or how you perceive your reality. Augmented reality. Am I making sense at all? I talked about the scripture that once existed that I can't find no more because I'm having what? I had a Mandela episode, a Mandela effect episode, and that scripture says, in the midst of the saints a miracle will appear. What does that mean to me? What does that mean? What does it mean to me now? Well, back to my story, the TMI story from years ago. In the midst of the saints. Who are the saints? It was me and my older neighbor years ago. We the saints, as an example. A miracle will appear. What was the miracle? It was all this grass. All of a sudden, all these vines and this grass cascading down off the fence that was between us, that we shared. The reality that we shared. You know, the boundary between houses that we shared. That was the miracle. A miracle would appear. What do I mean by that? I'm saying, hey, that woman's reality was superimposed into my life. That's the miracle. That her reality was superimposed into my life and changed my consciousness way back then. That came back up later and affected my reality like 15 years later. 12, 15 years later. I ain't gonna count. It affected my reality. I wasn't conscious that grass grew, and it grew wildly. You know, even in the house I was raised in, the grass. I don't remember. My mom bought her home. She had the house for over 30 years. I have 3 brothers. Never remember them getting out there cutting grass. Never remember her hiring anybody. And I was a homebody. I was right there with mama cutting the grass. It was only this one time. My mom met this guy. They got engaged. And one of the things that he brought home was an electric lawnmower, just like the lady down the street has now. Electric lawnmower. And they went to use that electric lawnmower one time. And I remember it being, don't have an accident. Stop driving stupid. I remember he brought home that electric lawnmower, and it had this extension cord, this like big orange extension cord. I thought that was the most foolish thing, to have a lawnmower with an extension cord or a plug. They had to stretch it to the house and the whole line out there. And the line didn't even need to be cut. I remember looking at the line. I'm just all over the place now, y'all. Rambling, ranting. You know, because when I had this realization, when I acknowledged this realization, because I kept having it years, you know, year after year after year after year of my whole life, and until finally I gave over into it recently. But that lawnmower, and that man was proud of bringing that lawnmower home. He was the man of the house. He was proud. There wasn't no grass to cut. I remember as soon as they took that lawnmower out, it got ran over and cut up by the propellers of the lawnmower. Never saw that lawnmower again. And didn't see a lawnmower for many years after that in my life. No matter where I went, didn't see a lawnmower. Never saw any of that. Interesting. Anywho, augmented reality. Augmented reality. So what I bring that up from my early past and my upbringing is that even though my mom was in the same house for 30 years, never saw the grass cut, had a beautiful home, we could say well-maintained lawn, gorgeous, gorgeous. Then I moved, and as a renter, how many ever houses I'd have rented, never had to cut no grass. Beautiful lawn. Not a part of my consciousness at all. Until that one day, when that lady, when I stepped in that backyard, and that stuff was cascading down my gate, coming from her area, down, augmenting my reality. It changed my consciousness. In the midst of the saints, a miracle appears. I'm going somewhere. I know I can't repeat myself. So, who is truly creating our unfolding reality now? Where do I go from here? Talking about augmented reality. I know that y'all have heard before. You gotta watch what you think. You got to think positive. You have to be conscious of your thoughts, of your ideas and different things like that, to be in a positive, productive mindset. I'd have heard that so long in my life, but it's not until now that it actually made sense. Why is that the case? And it's even in the, what they call the laws of attraction. I think this is one of the laws in laws of attraction. to keep a positive mindset and a positive outlook. Yes. I am. Who you going to store with? I could use some popcorn. Who buying? Oh, okay. I guess, you know my popcorn. I could use a Mr. Goodbar and a can of Pepsi. Ooh. Be careful out there now. What's the rules I'm talking about? Augmented reality. Dang it. I went back in time to come up to the current. In the midst of the saints, a miracle will appear. Oh, you have to be conscious of your thoughts and to stay positive. And why is that? It is truly important to do so, and I finally understand why. It is because we are creating our reality. We are continuously augmenting our reality. Not only are we augmenting our own reality, we are superimposing upon others outside of ourselves, and we are augmenting their reality. And we're doing so by impacting their psyche and also their intelligence or intellect. It's more like the psyche. Gotta find the exact term for it. We're changing their perception. What one can perceive as is what is real. Just like the Pokemon Go app. It suggests to the participant, to the player, that there is a being in a particular place in their reality. Ooh, there you go, doing what it want to do. My phone, pass up. We are augmenting each other's reality. But who is the greatest architect in our reality? Who is, we talk about it, socially engineering us, the people, to think a certain way and therefore behave a certain way? They are augmenting our reality on a grand scale. Messages come in about different subject matters to me over long periods of time. This one is no different. And I realized that, you know, in this last week or so, because when I looked outside this year and I saw that gate again start, when I reflected back to that older lady years ago, when I thought back to how my neighbors would just stand there and all look at me like, what is she doing? Like they couldn't see the grass. They had no comprehension of it. And I don't stay in no shabby community. They had no conscience of it. I could see it in their face. Even then, I was like, what the hell? They wasn't getting it. Then when it finally started creeping up into their yards, then they could see. Like, can I use your lawnmower? To the point where, again, it's like this perpetual hell brought on by wildlife, by grass and, what do you call it? Plant life. Until they had to run out and buy their very own lawnmowers. Now we got everything on deck. With that grass and stuff has been running us for years. A couple of years ago, it slowed down. I said, enough. Y'all hear me cuss and fuss all the time. I was like, enough is enough. I'm not cutting no more motherfucking grass. Excuse me, every week I ain't doing it. It stopped. I'm telling y'all. I know it sounds so crazy. I was like, I ain't doing it. I was just sit out there and look at it grow up. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Now this year, I've been out there one time. I'm not playing. I looked at that gate. What you doing? It's holding back. I can tell it won't work. Don't you do it. My reality was augmented. I'm trying to move on. My dress up. Hopefully I ain't see nothing. I was moving around. So, why am I talking about this in detail? Why do I keep repeating myself over and over again? It's because, remember, I'm dealing also with, I'll say just the astrological energies to sum it up. And it says, hey, there is a grand architect in your world. And they are augmenting your reality. They are causing you to think certain ways, behave certain ways. So there is going to be certain manifestations in your world. And I don't think, for the most part, that these changes, these augmentations to our global reality is going to be beneficial to the people. In times past, when I was doing my studies, it said, hey, you better figure out what they doing. Oh, yeah. You better figure out what they doing so that you can maintain, we can say, conscious participation in the creation of your reality. You better figure out, who these people are and what they're doing. And so I didn't try to talk about social engineering and all of that, but it's come back again. Just recently, when I studied the stars, the astrological alignments, not the asteroids. Today I was looking at the asteroids. I didn't know that was the message I was going to get. I forgot to say something, but I didn't know about it. When I studied the stars, just recently, it was saying, what was it? I've talked so much. I don't know what it is. I'll figure it out. Because I'm about to rant now for real. I got to remember. Stop. This phone that started recording or doing whatever we want to do, laying up there and it threw me off. But I'm going to let it do what it do because we want to do it. Do it. Anyway. So I told him, let me see if I found my place. Okay. See, I'm about to go all over the place because we've been dealing with this stuff and it's coming full circle right now. I want to talk about a video, a live stream I did some time ago. I think it was back in February. I think it was in February when that broomstick challenge stuff happened. And I said I broke it down then based on that event, trending event of broomstick challenge standing up all over the world. I interpreted that and I went back in my life experiences, what I always do. And I talked about experiences that I had. And I said, hey, y'all. I say, we got to wake up. We got to become aware. I said, because the powers that be, or some power that exists, has manipulated the masses into agreeing about a change or redefining something in physics. And we need to know what we've been manipulated into redefining. One of the rules, or what rules we have redefined collectively relative to physics. Augmented reality. What do I mean? We believe that our reality looks a certain way, or it's designed a certain way. And that reality, based on our previous consciousness, could only shift to a certain extent. It couldn't shift much. Why? Because of our psyche. Because of our level of consciousness, because of our level of awareness. There were boundaries that held our reality together. Broomstick challenge, social engineering, broomstick challenge, same thing, a tactic, to get us to accept new boundaries. The boundaries have shifted. However they look now, they're not like they were. Those boundaries that once framed our reality that said our reality was designed a certain way, that functioned a certain way, that physics rules was this and math rules was that and gravity rules was this and motion rules was that. No, we changed collectively the boundaries to our reality. And you know, Saturn represents boundaries. We are. So what I'm saying, why do I bring that up? Because astrologically, remember, the constructs of this world are being redefined. See, so far we've been looking at the physical, worldly, social constructs we didn't talk about, like marriage and businesses and corporations and government. But what about the metaphysical boundaries associated with this world? We've been manipulated into distorting those from, we can say, their original state, the way we've known them to be. What is it? E equals M times C squared, whatever it is. You know, those things that we grew up learning and having to go to school for that define our reality. These things have been changed. Our reality has been augmented. Not only our physical reality has been augmented by a very conscious entity that can see. It is also our metaphysical structures that have been augmented. I'm trying to go somewhere with this. Like I say, it's so complex, it's so real. If we people could see what is really taking place, could we take it serious? I mean, it's serious. It's for the serious folks, grown and sexy folks. It's serious. But how can I articulate it? How can I get people to see? You know, see for yourself. How deep does this rabbit hole really, really go? Are we really in the rabbit's hole? I don't think we've really been in the rabbit's hole yet. I'm just rambling, y'all. I'm trying to figure out how to go next. So I just talked about the broomstick challenge. I wanted to bring that up to remind you of the broomstick challenge, to show how we are being manipulated. An example, you can find that live stream, watch it. I know it got a bunch of gems in that across the board. I can see it now in retrospect. But that's part of social engineering too. Massive social engineering. Another time I made a video about superhuman powers coming online. You can find it. I made a few videos about superhuman powers coming online. And I talked about when I felt like I experienced superhuman powers, my personal superhuman powers coming online. Oh man, I messed up the camera. Let's see. Let it come back in focus. We'll see. Will it come back online on this one? Where's that? Oh gosh dang, I should ask for a cup of coffee. Oh, this phone and did what it want to do. I would have loved a cup of coffee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, stay on the song. Okay. Okay. Come on, baby. Come on. Ride the wave with me, if you will. I'm going somewhere with this, but a cup of coffee and a cigarette would be lovely. So, superhuman powers. When I had some experiences about... Are you still there? Y'all left? Oh, I want a cup of coffee. Ain't there some coffee still down here? I'll take a little bit. Just add some water to it if you really love me. Just if you just love me just a little bit. This was me. Okay, well, come see me. Because I love you. And I think you love me too. Maybe. Just a little bit. Okay. So, superhuman powers. I talked about it. I talked about the experiences that I had that led me to believe that superhuman powers were literally coming online. I even made a video with some superheroes on it, if you see it. And I think in that video I was offering examples of the type of superhuman powers that would come online for people. There have been people that I've heard talk about the superhuman powers coming online, but they suggest it very advanced superhuman powers like telekinesis and what's the being able to, what do they call it? Telekinesis, being telekinetic was the another one, being able to, you know, float. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of the words, terminology. Very advanced, you know, mind reading and different things like that, being able to disappear, very superhero-ish, superhuman powers. And so in those videos, I was talking about the superhuman powers that I know have come online for me, and I gave examples of the other types of superhuman powers I thought people would begin to execute at this time. And the experience that I had in one video, when the video was called Superhuman Powers Coming Online, was that I got sick. At least I thought I was sick. And I went to the hospital, called EMS. I'm sick, I'm dying. I was in so much pain, whatever it was. I don't even remember what it was. But it was a life lesson. I was being made aware. And I went into all detail in that video. I try to be as transparent as possible without putting myself in harm's way, so that you can see what I see. And in that video, I talked about how when I was at the hospital, in the emergency room, it was a lady in a room next to me, and she was obviously in as much pain as myself. And I talked about how I was transcended outside of my body, and I witnessed me going through the torment and torture that I was going through, and I was allowed to be able to meditate through it. And once I got the realization about what was happening, it ended, it was done, and I came home. No more problems. What did I go through that experience for? I went through it to be able to see that the superhuman powers of transcending physical experiences had come online. Where that woman could not transcend the situation that she found herself in. That woman moaned and groaned like I ain't never heard nobody moan and groan in pain, begging for somebody to help her. And why I got to come up out of myself and stay calm in these excruciating, unexplainable, I can't remember what it was, pain. And so I've talked about the different medical scares I had and everything that I learned in it, and that was one of the superhuman powers. Why do I bring that up? Here is another superhuman power that we all possess, whether you know it or not. I'm assuming that many of us don't know that we have this superhuman power. And it is what I've been talking about all along. The ability to augment our reality. Not only our reality, but others' reality is a superhuman power. See, if you don't know that you have this ability, you don't know that you got to be conscious of it. Thank you. You're the best. Maybe. It depends. You know, you don't have to make no whatever's there. Add some hot water to it. Don't let Coco in here. Thank you. So, how can I say this? If you do not know that you have this superhuman power, then you don't know that you have to control it. You don't know. I can't say I'm a person that ever felt like I have to watch what I say, or I can't say, in a mundane level, yes, I'm conscious of it. Like I won't sell drugs or do things that destroy my community. Those kind of things. So I understand that I can augment my reality and my community's reality and my people's reality by living a particular lifestyle, doing things like that. Yeah, okay. But from a mental plane, I was truly never aware that I could change somebody else's reality. I knew I could change mine. I knew I could change my mindset, and it changed my life. I did that before. But I did not know I could influence somebody else with my consciousness. I got to go back to my TMI example of the grass. I know it sounds silly, but just that I was conscious of grass growing and needing to be, see, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I have to. And remember, come back to superhuman powers. Let me add something to my TMI story. Still relative to the grass, still relative to the community that I live in, or the block I live on, and my neighbors and everything. I've spoken a little bit about my neighbors to give you some background to the type of people I live around. They are, I'll say, high poor class, or I barely making it to bottom middle class folk. And the reason why they are at that level primarily is because the homes that they're in are generational homes, family handed down. So they've been able to build up upon that, inheritance, that kind of thing. They working people, or they own their own businesses. Like one person is a Harley dealer. Another person is deals in medical marijuana. Another person is a groomer, and the groomer makes, I know, $200-300 a day, every day. Supernatural. I think I'm gonna talk about it. So thank you so much. I want to go and talk about these people because, like, my neighbor that's the groomer, I done talked about it before. Supernatural. I've been over here 12 years. Those whole 12 years, almost 365 days, and all 12 of them 12 years, hustle, constant hustle. I ain't never seen nobody hustle dogs like that. It had the energy to do so and to raise a family. It's supernatural. But that is her consciousness. And not only that, after that, rest of it is travel and building for her. She's a married person, and her significant other is equally as busy. But my point of telling about the dynamics of their life, some of it, is because they had time to cut no grass or do no repetitive repetitive hell work, like cutting grass and that and it. No, their life did not consist of it. And this is just one example. I can go into many different things that are absent or void from a person's or people's lives. Lives is not a part of their consciousness. So let me try to make it make sense, because it's important. This family I'm talking about, they work, and it's supernatural. They get paid, and they enjoy their life. Period. Ain't no grass cutting. Ain't no hiring nobody to come cut no grass. At least it wasn't some years ago. That consciousness didn't exist. Just one example. The other person that is a Harley dealer or whatever he do, now I ain't gonna say party. Make money and travel. I'm saying, ain't no cutting no grass. Ain't no hiring nobody to cut no grass. At least as of some years ago. That wasn't a part of the consciousness. So it was get the hustle on, make the money, live a life. Make the money, do the hustle, make the money, live your life. Make the money, go do the hustle, make the money, live your life. There wasn't the need for maintenance, is what I'm saying. That whole maintenance thing was hell. And I bought it here. I bought it here. Just like that little white lady years ago bought that hell to me. But I ended up moving out of her. You know what I'm saying? She bought that repetitive hell to me. I bought the hell consciousness here to my community. I am the demise. I'm the demise of the community. You know, as far as grass growing is what I'm talking about. But I bought that consciousness here. That wasn't the consciousness that they had in times past in my life. That wasn't the consciousness that I had. It was get out here, do the hustle, get paid, live my life. And then the grass came. I don't know if I'm making this make sense. The augmented reality came, which was, it's like a hell-like state because it's repetitive. And it cuts into what? Living my life. Rather than go live my life, enjoying my life, out here exploring and doing things like that, growing spiritually, I'm out here cutting some damn grass over and over and over and over again. Am I making it make any sense? I'm going somewhere with this. Supernatural powers. Going back years ago, this is the best I can do, years ago. When my neighbor, when that whole event happened, remember initially my response was to clean up the gate and that grass that was really high in between our gates, cascading down to my lawn, leveling out to a beautiful lawn. I just cleaned it up, leveled it out. Like, what is that? But I did not accept that consciousness. Neither did I stay at that residence much longer after that. So in a way, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to say at that time, but I do believe that either there was a interference with the transmission of that of the augmentation, the information, the consciousness, because I moved from that community shortly after that, so it was a break. Or did my superhuman powers come online to stop it? Because I didn't move it immediately to stop it, to hold it back. I didn't accept nor absorb what I was experiencing. So it wasn't my reality still. It was the lady on the other side of the fence reality. So my yard stayed, you know, flat. Here, I just told y'all. I told that grass, I've been out there one time this year. It's August now. Did you grow? Don't you do it. And it has been stagnating. It won't do it. It won't grow, won't it? But don't you do it. What am I saying it for? I'm posing a question. Have I activated my superhuman powers by being aware, not accepting what I really have experienced, accepting that there's been I've augmented my reality that I'm in now, as well as the other people in my community reality, on my block reality, and now commanding this reality to obey me and go back to what it was, which was not that repetitive hell of having to cut grass or trim trees. And it's obeying. It is obeying. Not only is it me, it's also my neighbors. It's not all. Some neighbors have gotten pretty used to, or like turned their, you know, doing their yard into a hobby. I see that one neighbor in particular, it seems to enjoy it. It's a hobby now. So they done got into it real good. They got the best looking grass on the block. I'm like, wow. You know, they come a long way since this whole thing is started. But they only have a very small lot. Very small lot. But the other neighbors that have lots equal to what I had to deal with, it's like they went back to hustle and making the money. Looking over at them fields and their yard and saying, it's repetitive here. Refusing to do it. Bring out their lawnmower, look at it like it's a losing battle. They walking away. While me, I'm personally over here. I'm in the spirit because don't you grow. Now, see, that's why I'm a weird. I'm saying it. Don't you grow. Enough is enough. That didn't even exist in retrospect. When we look back, that didn't even exist. That wasn't an issue for years. And then, oh my God, if I go back to my own personal life even further back, that wasn't an issue. If it wasn't an issue then it ain't got to be an issue now. You know what I'm saying? And by us, what I'm saying, by us each taking control of our thoughts, are we reversing the augmentation to our reality back to where it was when everybody's yard was flat and didn't have to do no yard work, didn't call nobody in, it wasn't a part of our consciousness, and all we had to do was go work, make money, or get the hustle on, make money, whatever, and live our lives, live our best lives. Are we making a change? Is that, which I think it is, a superhuman power being executed and we don't even know it? And I ask that because that grass is acknowledging what we obviously have in common. You know, our perspective, like, don't you grow. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Superhuman powers. What is this? I went to Wikipedia. I don't know how to say here. I went to Wikipedia and I looked up the term miracle. Why did I look up the term miracle? It's because of that old scripture that I can't find no more, Mandela effect experience. In the midst of the saints, a miracle will appear. So I was like, I'm going to look up the term miracle. And so I just Googled the term miracle, and Wikipedia's, insert, it's called insert, came up for the term miracle. And this is what I think it said. Augmented reality is an interactive experience of a real world. And I wrote here, we do not have a point of reference. I don't remember what that was. Anyway, I continue reading. Environment where the objects that reside in the real world are enhanced by computer generated perceptual information, sometimes across multiple sensory modules, including visual, auditory, haptic, somato, sensory, and olfactory. Okay, I gotta look up. Oh, I'm scared to do it. I'm scared to do it. My computer has been messing up too, y'all. Of course. What was I reading? I think, y'all gotta remember, this has been over a week. When I was going through contemplating all this once again. I gotta look up the Wikipedia and miracle, which I'm scared to do because my laptop been going crazy. And I know why. What I notice is when my computer go crazy and my phone, it's because I'm riding a line of thought or following a line of thought. I'm riding a wave, and I'm constantly asking certain questions and putting in certain terms. And you know how they have the, what they call it, the cache here on the computer, the history, the storage, the cache. I'm sure that what it's picking up on is the string of terms that I'm using. And quantum computing can then with the string of terms foresee or comprehend what I'm actually chasing. You know, the truth that I'm chasing. Those string of words or terms that I end up entering into the search engine, or the questions I end up asking the search engine, is the actual me jumping down a hole and going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm going down in that hole to find a truth. And quantum computing can tell the truth that I'm seeking. And based on the truth that I'm seeking, that is so deep that if I uncover it, it may just be a problem. And why might it be a problem? Because if I find the truth that I seek at any given time, and I share it with you, ladies and gentlemen, I bring that consciousness to YouTube. It's consciousness that augments y'all reality, our reality, and they know it. I just interjected that there. So what I notice happens, if I go chasing that rabbit, my computer and my phone all goes completely haywire. It will stop when I stop. But if I don't stop, that's why I got all of them brand new laptops sitting up there. Not a spill, not a drop, not a nothing. I crashed them by following a line of thought. Like that last one, I knew I did it. See, it's certain things that I let pass, and I'll be like, I won't acknowledge it, ignore it. But that's why all the mother suckers sitting up there. And that last one, I did intentionally. I backed everything up as much as I could, because it had quite a bit of stuff in there saved up. But I backed up as much as I could, and I ran a line of thought as far as I could take it. Before I could get there, that I had burnt that computer out, brand new. It was under 2 years old, brand new. I can't say top of the line, but running about $800. That's enough line with all the bells and whistles on it. But when I do that again, and when I jump down that rabbit hole chasing that rabbit, and I put them string of terms in that's all relative, these computers quantum compute what I'm chasing, and they start malfunctioning my computers, and they burnt that mother sucker out, hands flat, damn, blacked out, and wouldn't come back on. There's 3 of them up there now, and I'm on number 4. I did it the other day, and when it happened again, I was like, okay, I won't ignore that anymore. I know exactly what this is. I know exactly what it is. Anywho, I'm supposed to be going somewhere with my line of thought. Okay. Oh, I needed to. Should I do it? Why am I ranting about that? Because I need to look up miracle to see what I was trying to see. Oh, it doesn't want to come up, huh? Really? Interesting. Okay. It doesn't want to come up. We can obtain a lot of information using computers and things. It'll tell you, but you got to know the right questions to ask. Let's see. It was on. A miracle is an event not explicable by natural or scientific laws. Such an event may be attributed to the supernatural being, especially a deity, magic, a miracle worker, a saint, or a religious leader. Well, I think I know why. I was looking up the term. Back to that scripture that I can't find no more, due to the Mandela effect. In the midst of the saints, a miracle will appear. A miracle is thought to be a supernatural come to occur due to a supernatural being, magic, a miracle worker, or a saint, or a religious leader. And so, if I recall what my line of thought was at this time that I was doing this, writing this paper, is because in the midst of the saints, a miracle will appear. We look at miracles as a supernatural. And I'm saying that quote is speaking about each of us co-creating our reality. Our ability to co-create our reality or augment our reality at any given time is the miracle. We are the magicians. We are the miracle workers. We are the saints. And then, since the miracle is our ability to augment our reality, I started looking at again what augmented reality means, and I looked up, I believe, that meaning, and it says is an interactive experience of a real world. And when I got to that line of thought, real world, what's the real world? Is the real world what I am perceiving now? What you're perceiving now? Is that the real world? Or better yet, in times past, was that the real world? 1,000 years back, was that the real world? We don't know exactly what I'm saying, what the real world looks like. We have no idea what the real world looks like. We have no idea how many times that we have, or humanity has, over the history of humanity, augmented our reality. We have no idea. We are so far removed from that knowledge that we can't see our own power. We can't see our own abilities. But there are conscious magicians, elitists, powers that be, maybe the 1 or 2%ers that know our power, and they harness our power in order to manipulate us to augment our shared reality in a way that is beneficial to them, but not so much to us. Why am I talking about this? Why do I keep repeating myself? It's because that's what's happening right now here, August 2020. In the midst of the events, that current events, in our unfolding events, the pandemic, the quarantine, the unemployment, the homelessness, the natural disasters, all of this is what we must understand. This is the message. We must understand that we are co-creating this. We are augmenting our reality. We have the power, but we must know that we have the power. We must know how to use it. We must understand that even if we can't refer back to what once was, whatever reality looked like 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, even if we don't really have a point of reference to refer back to. We need an idea of what we want our reality to look like in the near future. And then we have to consciously work on it together. Oh gosh, the social engineering that has been done on the world's populace is great, because we are so divided. We are divided through hatred and biases and things like that. The social engineering goes deep. How deep does the rabbit hole really go? I don't think we know. Because I've encountered people just recently, and I've been cussing and fussing since this whole pandemic stuff started, talking about the people that I'm witnessing in my local area, and how indulgent everybody is, how egotistical and arrogant everybody that I'm encountering is, how foolish people are, how they would dismiss truth. As a matter of fact, gotta go back to the Bible and religion. People can't even see that they being deceived at all, and it's scary. That's a whole nother video. As long as you can't see that you being deceived or manipulated, then you gonna have be enemies with whom you need to work with. You don't. Again, that's a whole nother video, and it's important. Such topics are important because it is those biases. It's like racism keeps us, and we hear this all the time in different ways, it keeps us from being able to see just how deep, not even how deep, what's actually in the rabbit's hole. We can't see. We too preoccupied with our weaknesses that we've been socially engineered to have, to uphold, to sustain, and to spread. All kinds of them. Again, from being egotistic to the point that you lead to somebody else's demise or even your own. To be racist to the point that you will destroy something or someone, or to argue about the what they call it, anti-Semitism to an extreme. Anything to block seeing what's in that rabbit hole. And the reality is, the social engineering, the effects of social engineering are so intact that they're concrete in people's lives. So that's it just then. One thing to me is that those 1 or 2%ers, those elitists, those powers that be, ensured that they would have the upper hand. That's how they did it. See, those powers that be, or the 1 or 2%ers, or those elitists, however you like to label it, remember, they are advanced magicians. In times past, I've talked about them a little bit because the stars told me to talk about them a little bit. And it talked about these magicians, these magi, these witches, these warlocks that sit on high like gods, overlooking humanity, and how they can play the whole globe like a chessboard. Again, I have a hard time articulating concepts. They say these people can see, and they got a. Stop. Still talking about those powers that be, the elitists, the 1 or 2%, or however you like to label them. Still talking about them. That in times past, I did a video in which I read the Apocryphon of John. I think it was. And the Apocryphon of John breaks down the Creator. Discusses the Creator, reveals the Creator, what you say? Because it talks about the limitlessness or boundarylessness or all in or absoluteness, I'll say, of divinity. It also talked about everything that came into existence because the absolute exists. So you get complex. The breakdown talks about that which was created from the absolute, or God, or divinity, however you like to label it, absolute. And it talks about its creations. And what the absolute created was consciousness. We personify, is that the word? Certain things. And so in order for us to be able to comprehend and perceive sometimes what's being talked about, we have to personify something, make it look like a person so we can see it. And so absolute God created certain babies. Personification. And them babies that it first created was thought, forethought, or what is it? Thought, forethought, I can't remember. It's like 5 of them or so. Them was his babies. Them was his first original creations. And so going back to these 1%er, 2%ers, elitists, powers that be that sit over humanity like gods, they possess these gifts or these babies of the Creator. They possess these states of consciousness, which is thought, forethought. Let me see, what is it? It is, came from there, it's a thought, forethought. I need to, I know this is not going to come up, I need it, oh man, okay, forethought, but let's see, it's, on a John there. I'm trying to go somewhere with this deal. I didn't think this video was going to be long, but I am long with it, so incorruptible. Did I see it? Androgynous. We get all this information. It's just been, we've been flooded with information. I'm seeing, come here, the monad, the monarchy, I was trying to find it. Knowledge, the knowledge, foreknowledge, thought, forethought, and something else. Anyway, I got a video out here where I talk about it in detail. So why am I talking about the powers that be, the 1%ers, 2%ers, or whatever. Why? They sit up over humanity like gods. Why do they think they gods? It is because they possess these powers, these states of consciousness. In one of my previous live streams, recent live streams, I talk about quantum computing, and I refer to YouTube creators. I think it's Red Pill. What's his man name? His name Wayne Steiger, and the Peace Dealer, of course, and myself. In that video, I was talking about quantum computing. I've even rambled and fussed during this one about quantum computing. See, these people that perceive themselves as gods or godly, they have these abilities to quantum compute. They no longer have to literally, physically quantum compute like with Nostradamus, Edgar Casey, anybody that set up and wrote and logged everything and kept track of it in its order and how it fell and at what ratio it fail, or what they call it. Can't think of the term, but you get what I'm saying. Now they invented computers and stuff to do it. It's all relatives, all interlinked. We haven't personally spent our lives, our whole lives, researching these things, so we don't know. We learn it. Age of Aquarius. So, where's that going? These people know how to. They have a mind that is godly. And the stars talked about this, and has been talking about it, and it said, hey, this is what they have over you. This is how they rule over you. In the last few years, I did a video called Pyramids, and what are the pyramids? Because it shows how these people think. You can locate that video as an example to see how they think. How are they able to, able to control the masses? The pyramid is the illustration on how to control the masses. I'm trying to get to how these people think. Their thoughts are higher than ours. Their comprehension is higher than ours. Their perception is higher than ours. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Read. And I tried. It wasn't enough people followed me to go through the book, that Apocryphon of John. I talked about it over and over again. Read it and keep reading it, because it goes in it. Remember, I was talking about how the absolute, they had these babies. We personify everything to understand, to comprehend something that's just seem kind of incomprehensible, which is another term that defines divinity. God, absolute, is incomprehensible. Anywho, God that created, or the absolute that created all these babies, and the babies created babies, personifying, making it look like a person so we can comprehend it. Well, comprehension is an example of one of them babies, or them great grandbabies. You know, what am I saying? I got a video out here. It's called The Devil's Playground. If you locate that video, that's one of my older videos, The Devil's Playground, where I go and I talk about these babies that have been born as a direct result of God or absolute even existing. So it might be God's, we could say, personification, grandbaby, or great grandbaby, or great grandbaby. Comprehension, perception, reception. These are all states of consciousness. And what I'm talking about, I'm talking about how these people got to understand these states of consciousness. These babies, they have them, they're with them. Well, we don't. We haven't been learned how to. Do we have the ability? Yes, we do. But we have to focus our minds and meditate upon these states of consciousness. Get to know them. Get to know the grandbabies. You know, get to know their attributes and their abilities so that we can execute them. In the course of our lives, we've been trained to be self-destructive, biased, followers, consumers, everything that's detrimental to us. We have never, ever been trained to be straight up spiritual. That's what the powers that be, the 1%ers, 2%ers, elitists, however you like to label them, that's what they knew, because their thoughts are higher than ours. Their perception is higher than ours. Their consciousness is higher than ours. Their reception is higher than ours. Their reasoning is higher than ours. They knew they had to make sure that the rest of us would never, or let me say never, would not, likely, high probability, mathematics, probability, same, you know, other great grandbabies, what the probability of us getting to that level of consciousness would be very, very low. That there would have to be some type of miracle that would exist, in order for us to ever see from that perspective of what being godly. What's happening right now, August 2020? Everything that we're going through, from the deconstruction and reconstruction of our physical worldly social constructs, our understanding about or even the reconstruction of the metaphysical realm, is all being manipulated by these powers that be, that act as gods in this world. I don't know if I'm saying it right, because it's getting thick, it's complicated, and I ain't even doing yet. I'm trying to go somewhere with it. I'm trying to explain all the different layers that I can. If we who, the people that create humanity, really don't want to live in a world of imbalances. What do I mean by imbalances? I'm talking about everything else everybody else talk about. Extreme natural disasters, illness, sickness, you know, eating animals, whatever, everything everybody argue about that's humanitarians or some type of, you know, humane something. If we don't want to live in these worlds of people getting lynched, knees on them, hung, all kind of stuff. If we don't want to live in this type of world that exists and is developing, we don't have to. We are only living in this world because we've been socially engineered to believe the things that we believe and to act the way we act. We don't have to. But this is the thing, this is what makes me so angry that I don't know how to articulate this. These powers that be, 1%ers, 2%ers, elitists, however you like to label them, the people in power. Thoughts are just that, and have been for hundreds of years, so far more advanced than ours, that we can't see in the rabbit hole. It ain't about getting out the rabbit hole. It's about being able to see what's in the rabbit hole. Let me see if I can try to make that make sense. The movie Alice in Wonderland. That's where the rabbit hole come from, as far as I know. Going down the rabbit hole. Well, that whole story, you know, when you look at the imagery of it, it's just like surreal. It's off the chain. Stuff don't make sense, but it's a reality. Why does the reality of Alice in Wonderland, for it to be correct, have to fit our definition of reality? Why can't a rabbit talk? Okay, that's what happened in, what I'm trying to say, that's what happened in Alice in Wonderland. Well, a rabbit can talk. That's the reality. But in our world, we don't accept that. Get down there. The Queen of Hearts is a card. Why can't a Queen of Hearts be a card? In our reality, that's not the case. But in Alice in Wonderland, it is. So it's about getting down in that rabbit hole and accepting the reality for what it is. See, those powers that be know how to go. They already down. They live in the rabbit hole. They live in it, out of it. They accept the reality that they find themselves into. They learn. They accept it. And they move forward based on the rules associated with that reign. Whether it's Alice in Wonderland or it's here on this earth that we exist on. Their thoughts, their comprehension, their perception is higher than ours. The general populace love, I know y'all heard this, love being in ignorance. Embrace it. The reason why people say that, I do believe, is because we are so naive, ignorant. It's another word I want to use. That we can't even see why we need to battle ourselves out of the mental captivity we in. We can't even see, number one, that's the first thing, trick. We can't even see that we're in mental captivity. And I talked about that before in a video where I talked about IQs and the majority of humanity suffering from, what was it called? Arrested mental development. People don't even know that they have been socially engineered to be retarded. And I'm not talking about retarded as far as bad mouth and a particular mental condition or intellectual inability. I'm talking about retard, like as far as not being able to move forward. They can't see. You can't see. You can't see. Even if somebody says it to you, you can't see. Even if you see it reflected back to you, you can't see. And then if you do see, then your ego gets in the way and won't allow you to ask for help or to try to discover how to come up out of it. It's a trance. And the powers that be did it. And because they have put such a strong hold on humanity, there is something greater than us all that is attempting to help us break the stronghold. But we're failing. We are failing. What's going on right now? As of right now, our reality is being augmented. As most of you know, we are currently undergoing a reconstruction of our reality, as well as our metaphysical reality. And what have been, if we had stayed on our previous course of action, will not be. You hear people talk about, it's called, they use the term alternate timelines. Alternate timelines. Timeline is shut down, for real. You say it like that, I guess that makes sense. Shut down. So now there is a whole new line materializing, and that new line is taking us into a particular reality. Collectively, we have been manipulated on a mass scale to augment this reality, or to create this path or this course of action together. I don't know how to say it. Augment. I'm gonna let it go. gonna give up. I don't know how to say it. Reality, in reality, I really don't see a way for humanity to overcome or break free of our captives, whoever truly these captives may be. I really don't. Not during this particular time frame in the history of humanity. I don't. It seems like, and I don't have any way of telling this, but this is after looking at everything I've ever looked at and everything I've ever experienced. And when I say ever experienced, I mean that I just shared with y'all my field trip to Henry Ford Museum. Everything I've ever experienced, everything. I've been too conscious, always aware, overactive mass, so everything I ever experienced, everything, all the bull crap. I have no way of knowing that humanity, beings, B-E-I-N-G-S, have existed, we say, just an example, for millions of years. And we take on different forms that resonate with whatever's going on in the reality. So if we were here before and it wasn't about water on like this planet, then we was aquatic creatures. I don't know, but this is what I sense. And so whatever has been our captives or our greatest enemies, seem like they'd had their foot literally on our neck for a long time, being very doing very particular works, being immaculate in their delivery to keep us, some people say domicile or unaware, asleep, sheeple, dependent. Even to this day, at this period, when we look like we do, when our reality look like it does, it still goes on. And it seems to me, based on my interaction with this world and the people and everything and the consciousness, that the same type of quote-unquote slavery will continue. I have no idea. I have no idea what it would take to literally liberate us. Because it does seem like, again, that there's been something that has been moving to try to give us the opportunity to awaken to the stuff I have talked about in this video. As erratic and maybe out of order it is, you know, it seems like it's tried to awaken humanity. And I don't think it's being too successful. I don't know what needs to happen to us or to beings, B-E-I-N-G-S, in order for us to wake up. Have you ever waken up? Have you ever waken up? I have waken up. I have awoken before. I mean, literally awoken. And so it's the shift in one's consciousness and perception. I awoke before. I awoke. I didn't want to tell two different things. I want to tell a story about one of the times I awoke, but I don't want to forget what I was going to say, but I think I almost forgot what I was going to say anyway. I awoke. And when I bring up, want to talk about my story, because when I awoke, it was a change in my reality immediately, and I was aware of it. And it goes with when they say um, it will be a time of deception. A person that's deceived or cannot see don't know they deceived or can't see, or that they crazy, or that they weak. They don't know until they have awakened or woke. Yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all a thing I'm gonna forget, because it was a real interesting experience in my life. It was a time in my life that all I saw was in black and white. I saw black, white, and the scales of gray in between. That was my reality. And one day, I can't talk about the area I was in because I ain't from, most of y'all ain't from this area. And one day, I was out and about, and just the turn, oh man, I did a video called Deja Vu. You can locate that video when I talk about deja vu. Anyway, one turn woke me up. I watched, it's like, what movie? It's, what's the name? It's Blast from the Past. Blast, I think it's Blast from the Past. Blast from the Past. Oh, how was it? I don't know that was Blast from the Past. No. What was the name? It was a movie. Anyway, it's like, imagine I saw everything. My whole reality was in black and white and the shades of gray in between. Every part of my consciousness, that's what it was. A conscious choice that I made in a moment. A change of direction. Again, I talk about the change of direction. You got to go watch that video talking about deja vus. Turned the light on. Awoke me. And it's just like when TV used to be in black and white. And the very first time the movie Wizard of Oz came out. The first time Technicolor came out. Not Wizard of Oz. Technicolor. I'm in a generation where TV was black and white. When Technicolor came out, that's when they transitioned from black and white TV to color TV. They presented Technicolor with the movie Wizard of Oz. So the very first time it comes on, it starts off in a black and white original version, and then all of a sudden it sweeps across the screen to Technicolor. It went from the black and white full grayscale across the TV set into full Technicolor for the first time. I don't remember how old I was. One day in my life, when I saw everything in black and white and a grayscale, I made a conscious decision to make another turn, and just like with that presentation of Technicolor, my life went from the scale of gray and white with all the black and white with all the gray scales into full Technicolor. I was awoken, and I could see, and I became so conscious. So conscious. Let me tell you one of the things, and it's gonna sound contradictory, what I'm about to say, but one of the things that I became conscious of, oh my goodness, was that I only saw in black and white in the gray scale. See, I was just living my life at the time. I was in my prime, getting it in. I was living in the scale and experiencing life through that black and white scale. You know, the black and white scale, the gray scale. But when I awoke, I was, as long as I was in the gray and black, I didn't know I was in the gray and black white scale. But when I awoke and I saw the Technicolor in my life, I knew then that I had been living in this gray scale. Consciousness, being awoke. It happened immediately in my reality. And I know that's a difficult concept to grasp. I talk about it also, that kind of concept, when I told you I had this dream of going to hell. I made a video talking about hell and what it was about. And I talked about in that video how I was awoken it was in my dream realm. I dreamt that I was in hell, and I was like, I was in hell, and I was awoken in the hell by something greater than myself, and it told me to witness. It didn't say anything, but that's what it was about. Witness where you are. And I say and tell y'all sharing that video that I had to be awoken in that dream state or that state of consciousness. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even known I was in hell. I wouldn't even known I was in hell. But once I was awakened in the dream realm and found that I was in hell, I told you it was all black figures, like crisp burnt black, with cracks like lava and red like lava pouring up from under us. We was all silhouettes. I was gnawing on somebody's head. They was gnawing on mine. We were stacked up on each other like puzzle pieces. How many people? I guess all the billions of people that ever existed that was in this hell conscious state, stacked up upon each other, didn't know we was even in close proximity to nobody, because we were all consumed with ourselves and our own desires and wants and longings, and they was never satisfied. And so we was just gnawing and chewing on each other, all for the purpose of trying to satisfy our own longings. But you didn't even know a person was there. You didn't even know you was chewing on them. You were just longing. And it was this emptiness. It was this void. It was this bottomless pit. It was nothing. It was no time. It was nothing. And I wouldn't have even known that I was there had I not been, you know, awoken by something greater than myself to witness the experience. It was just, I was just there. That was some deep stuff. I don't ever want to go back there because time didn't exist. And the only reason time began, we can say, to exist is because I was awoken. Otherwise, I just been in that perpetual state of void, of longing, of dissatisfaction without being dissatisfied. It was just, it was crazy. So that was another awakening. I was awoken in that. Otherwise, I wouldn't know I was in that. But I was in that and experiencing that. And it was a state of continuous torment. Just like the freaking Bible say, but on a whole nother level. Whew. Anywho, that was another awakening. I talk about awakening. So what am I saying? I'm talking about humanity. At least the part that I'm witnessing for myself is I don't see the glimmer in the eye of the awakening. You can see it. It's this deep breath, you know. It's this realization. I'm not seeing it. I'm still seeing a lot of egos flare, arguments, cussing, hatred, this, every day, on the news, in my environment, everywhere I go. Everybody scared, trying to just take care of themselves. A sense of desperation. It is not the consciousness of God's. Not the consciousness of God's. I don't know. I was trying to say something else. I know I was going to forget. What's happening now, August 2020? We are co-creating our reality. And our reality is being augmented. And it is being augmented in a way that we can't see. It's like it's going to be the normal to us. But the reality is it ain't even normal. But we won't know it ain't normal because we will be asleep, not awoken, not aware. And we can't be awoken or aware because we holding on to our biasness, to our fears. Because we're not aware that we are co-creators, that we have literally superhuman powers. It's unbelievable to us that we got superhuman powers. It's unbelievable. We can't even fathom it. If you can't fathom it, how can you get to know them babies? How can you use it? I don't even know how to make this make sense. I know it sounds crazy, y'all, but this is all these are the messages I've been getting from everywhere. I'm gonna let it go by saying, hey, even if we, the 99%ers, us, 98%ers, us, the general population, if we can't get up, if we can't wake up if we can't ride the wave of gods, we're in a perpetual hell and we don't even know we're in hell. We just living our life at this point in time in the history of the existence of beings, B-E-I-N-G-S. But there are, and there has been, and there will be, the 1 or 2%ers, whatever it is, the powers that be at any given time, those elitists that are godlike. And these things that we've been manipulated not to be able to get in tune with, they are fully in tune with. And with a level of godliness comes a level of arrogance. And then even corruption. That's a whole nother video. So, what I'm trying to do is talk about these elitists. And I don't know. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm just thinking about the people that I personally have met in my life, as well as people that have existed historically, that have been very skillful or masterful or knowledgeable. What kind of lives did they live? I guess another way to ask that is, what does it take to be wealthy? Not rich. Wealthy. Generational wealth. Being able to, like, example, what is, I don't know his name, the one that's trying to get everybody to take vaccinations, him. Don't even have any medical credentials, but having so much influence and pull in this world. Who are you? What do you have to be? What state of consciousness do you have to be in or have? I don't even know how to say this. How do I articulate them? So, because the stars, or something that is greater than ourselves, does want us to know that there's a different breed of beings, B-E-I-N-G, that cohabitate in this realm with us, that sit on high like gods. We know this. But it's real. It's like having it, the realization that it's real. That these people have a higher, I gotta find the terms somewhere. We done talked about it before, but a comprehension. It's those babies of the absolute of God. They got them babies. The reasoning, the consciousness, the foreknowledge, the forethought, etc., all them babies. They got it. And they use it. It's their norm. How can I say? I don't even know how to say it. We wonder, I guess I can say, we wonder if they're aliens. Do aliens exist? Are there aliens among us? We can kind of think of these people like aliens, because we don't have that level of awareness or consciousness or comprehension. Like, for instance, you may go to court and the judge is talking with the attorneys and it's flying over your head. You're like, what they saying? What they saying? And you sitting up, you trying to figure out what they saying so that you can get in where you can fit in and have it turn out in your favor. It's so hard to have everything turn out in your favor when you go to court, because everything they saying flying over your head. Same thing. You at the doctor's office. The doctor and the specialist talking. And the doctor throwing terms, and the specialist throwing terms, and the cardiologist throwing terms, and the I don't know, the OBGYN throwing terms, and the and the biller throwing terms. You like, and you're trying to get everything to pan out to best of for you. But sometimes we have a problem doing that, because guess what? Everything they talk about going over our heads. I say that because, like, I'm still trying to, like, parallel these powers that be, the 1 or 2%er, the elitists, however you like to label them, that they have such a high level of awareness that no matter what room they enter, no matter what seat they sit in, they can talk the language, they can comprehend what's being said on every level. It's almost like, an example, it's almost like a person that could understand, like, possibly, I don't know, the Holy Spirit, going biblical on that. The Holy Spirit descends. What is it? The tongues, what is it? The tongues of fire. The apostle, what's it called? The apostle, Pentecostal. The Pentecostal. The flame, tongue of flame of fire, whatever. Descend upon a person, saint. And it gives them the gifts of the Holy Spirit, like being able to speak in tongues. Speaking in tongues is being able to speak in a language that is like an accumulation of all languages that ever exist, whenever language exists, of any tribe, any tongue, any nation. You speak in the power, in the tongue, and whoever hear you that's, you know, in line with spirit can comprehend what you're saying. That's what these people have. This is how advanced they are. And the energies are letting us know just how advanced they are and how we have been made weak. Why are, like, astrological energies and different things telling us what gifts these people or beings, B-E-I-N-G-S, possess? I ain't saying aliens no more. Like I said, I don't know much about aliens. I have explored that a little bit. So beings, why does something higher than ourselves want us to know what these people or beings possess? It is so that we understand what we ourselves are capable of doing in order to level the playing field. Speaking in tongues. Whole nother video. Could you imagine sitting in a room with people that are representatives from all over the world, all the different tongues and languages and things like that, and no matter who's speaking, you understand what they say, completely comprehend them, no sweat off your back. You ain't sitting up like trying to catch what they say, trying to put glue stuff together. You fully understand what they're saying and what they are conveying. That's what they have. That's what we need. We're so far away from that as on an individual basis. We've been preoccupied with crap. Another thing that these people possess is that they don't deal with these people call fiat or money or things like that. They deal in the reality of this realm. We done talked about it before. They deal in the natural resources, the things that help sustain your life and or help advance us in technology to help us be able to strive better, better and better. That's what they deal with. That's what they exchange and trade. That is their money. That's why they also have generational wealth. They also wholeheartedly, just like they heartbeat, are aware of like the pyramid. That is how our world construct is orchestrated, and the social stratification system is set up. And every day, all day long, as they heartbeat, that regulates how they interact with this physical world. While we don't have times, most of us don't even know what role we play. We are not valued. We are undervalued, underpaid, overworked, and you don't understand why. Oh, they know why. That pyramid scheme, again, pyramid. Go watch that video. They understand. See, this is what these people understood, and they have understood for generations. I have a video out called "Your Ass is Grass" due to the world's greatest pyramid scheme. Another one of my older videos that I have published multiple times. They see the bigger picture. Sagittarius in astrology talks about being able to see the bigger picture. These people see the bigger picture. Remember, they're gods looking over all of humanity. They can see the bigger picture. What bigger picture? Go watch the video. Your ass is grass due to the world's greatest pyramid scheme. They had a blueprint and a plan to world domination a long time ago. They took step by step. They were patient. They took step by step. What was I saying? They step by step. They moved to their ultimate goal. We think too short range. See, those 1%, 2%, however you like to label it, elitists, whatever they are, they sit up like gods. We think two term. We think now, they think later. They think for the long haul. They think over hundreds of years. They think generational. See, we have to change our mindsets. Will your bloodline, yours, will it be here in this physical plane 100 years from now? See, we don't think about that. I'm barely able to take care of myself and my, contribute, help my kids out and my grandkids. I don't think about that. They do. They do. What they doing today is they living out the benefits of what they bloodline did 100, 200 years ago. And what they doing now is ensuring the survival and prosperity of their future generations, 50 and 100 years ahead. We think too short term. Why? Because we have been socially engineered to depend on fake money. We could say it like that. Fake money changes. It is devalued. It depreciates, and it changes depending on what empire comes. See, we've been socially engineered, where they dealing with what? Commodities. I don't know, water, animals, fish, oil, crystals, gold, quartz, antimatter. That's what they're dealing with. Those things are going to be here for the long haul. Why? How do we know that? Because this is what creates this rain. It ain't going nowhere. So they're going to have it, and they had it in the past. They got it now. And they moving right now as we redevelop the social constructs to make sure they still have it in the future. And they're able to successfully do this, and have been able to, because the populace won't wake up. You don't even know you're asleep. You don't even know you're asleep. So what I was going to say is, I really don't know how. I don't know why I get all this information, these messages. I don't know why, and in the course of my life, I've been led to do the studies that I do. I know on a mundane level why I did it, because my life was fucked up. Excuse me, too much French. I know that. But on a deeper level, why do I continue to look? Why does something keep whispering in my ear to say, go look? Because I say that because I don't see it be different if it was giving me an answer to say, hey, that's how you wake folks up. I said earlier, I know I bought something to YouTube. I helped change the consciousness that has evolved here on YouTube. I contributed to that. So I know that there are changes that take place, that can take place, that awaken us. But this is so big, and this is so massive. I guess it ain't for me to know. I'm just here to do my part. I'm here to do my part as you're here to do your part. But you don't even know. Deep, indeed. Was there anything else? I know it's a lot of things that has been revealed to us, that these beings, B-E-I-N-G-S, are conscious of, or the consciousness that they work from. Because it's not just one thing. Another thing that I'm trying really hard to do is to be open. I do believe that each of us, including myself, have been socially engineered. Again, a lot of social engineering going on. We talked about in the last live stream. To be closed off, to be rigid. That lines up with, you know, Capricorn and Saturn and stuff. And what I'm saying, closed off to consciousness, growth. And what do I mean? I mean, like, I'm a person that's always been interested in education, but no matter how, this is an example, no matter how interested in education I am, there's always been a cap on me. I've always hated that cap. Cap in my intelligence and my ability to comprehend. You know, just cap. My ability to see the bigger picture and hold on to it. No matter if the bigger picture or the outcome was in a far distance, I couldn't hold on to it. I could offer an example to make it make sense, but I won't. And y'all know I'm long-winded. I'm preaching. And what do I mean? I have tried so hard. I tell y'all about me going to college and everything, and needing 5 classes to my master's, my bachelor's. It's a bachelor's degree. 5 classes. And I think 3 of them was language. Basically language, you know, the semesters of language. Why? I tell y'all, I waited until I couldn't go anymore. It was because the way my mind functioned, I never could become proficient. The way my mind set up frustrates me. I never could become proficient. From high, you know, through middle school, high school, you know, you always gotta have your languages. And I had Spanish, French. What else I had? Spanish, French. Never becoming proficient. Some German. I told y'all about my travels to Germany. Never become proficient. And then I get in college and they say, you know, hey, choose a language. Which country is going to be the ruling country when you come of age? So it was I think a guess between, I think it was German, Chinese, American was already basic, but it was 3. I want to say it was German, Chinese, and maybe Russian or something. I don't remember. Or Japanese. Maybe it's Chinese, Japanese, and whatever. And so I'm like, okay, so when I get to college after all this time, the same question is still posed. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take German or Chinese. I ended up not taking nothing. Anyway, ran out of money. Couldn't go back to school. So I was like, okay. But my point is, after all those years that I did have foreign languages, I was never able to be proficient. That's why I do believe that there is a cap that has been put on people. And I think, again, go back to socially engineering. That we are born into these social structures that put that cap on us. Because I'm a person that desire to break through the cap, break through the ceiling. But I don't know, it's almost like some type of hypnosis has been done on me, where I will crash. I will literally crash at a certain level. Crash, like shut down. I can't see no more. You know, I done went everything from blindness to my hand going out. Like, it's psychological. Like, nope, your hand don't work. You got carpal tunnel syndrome. Oh, your eye don't work. And I'm saying, so I'm thinking, like, what am I talking about? I'm talking about how these beings, B-I-N-G-S's, have exceeded to the point of godship. And because they sit as gods, overlooking us, and they have certain attributes, some of what I've been talked about, how they're able to continue to manipulate us. And so now I'm looking at it like, okay, if I'm getting all this information and other people like myself getting all this information, we got to be getting it for a reason. It has to be a way for us to stop this cycle that we've been in possibly for thousands of years or millions of years. It got to be a way. Here we are in the age of Aquarius. We're getting all this information. But I'm saying, okay, if I'm a representative of the common Jane and Joe, a representation of our abilities and our weaknesses, it has to be that something is trying to help us out, is what I'm saying. Because I know everything that I'm talking about sounds so crazy. It sounds crazy. Because the truth is, based on our way we have been brought up, most of us, because all we do is just, we're born, we live, and then we die. So to talk about such things as I'm talking about, it's insane. Man, it can't be real. So maybe I am the Mad Hatter. So anyway, as a representative, I'm Aquarius. I am one of the people out of the 7.8 plus billion people that create humanity at this time. I am a representative of just people. How can I overcome my limits? I think, I don't know where science is as far as life expectancy. 70 years old, 80 years old. Well, I already blew 50 on foolishness. 50 years fighting off racism. Getting over heartbreaking disappointment. Never becoming a master at anything. Being made to walk in the spirit when all I wanted to do was the physical. 50 years. What have I accomplished? What have you accomplished? If we are really, what I'm trying to say is, if we're really in danger of continuous captivity by some beings, B-E-I-N-G-S, for the next 1,000 years, what is it that needs to happen? I don't know how to say it, to wake us up. I don't know how to say it. I really don't. Most people will say, I'm just an overthinker. Or a person like myself is an overthinker. If that be the case, that means all we do is be born, live, and die. There's nothing else. Or my overthinking is a physical manifestation of something greater than us trying to wake us up, like it did in my sleep. But I can't get it out. But I don't see it happening. And that's concerning to me. Because I don't want to reincarnate back in here into what I see that will develop as a direct result of humanity's course. Humanity's course. I don't want to come back. I don't want to come back. I don't know. And I guess I'm just rambling, y'all, just talking. Referring back to my visit to Henry Ford Museum with my family a couple of Sundays ago. And I was, looking at that oil painting by artist Bacon. of over 262 influential people of the time. And these people having, what do they call it, biographies, all of them, that were commendable. Over 262 people in one banquet hall, all with an extraordinary resume or biography. All of these people contributed to the world, to the advancement of technology and overall humanity. Am I overthinking? I don't think so. If 200 and over 262 people could sit in the same hall, all having to my extreme contributions to humanity, why don't I have one? Or you? You know what I'm saying? What am I saying? I'm saying that we made them people special, that we ain't special. Something is trying to wake us up is what I'm saying. Those people, like I said, I spent my life on bullcrap. But when you read them biographies or autobiographies or inserts about them people's lives, that them people was doing stuff like Edgar Casey. I don't know how old he was, 16 years old or something, 14, when he did this. Michael Jackson, when he did this. You know what I'm saying? These people were always growing, contributing, enriching this reality, and not so much being manipulated, what I'm saying, by others. They weren't manipulated by others. They were doing the manipulating. And the only reason they were able to manipulate the masses is because they were conscious, I don't even know how to say it, of certain things that the rest weren't. And what I'm trying to say is what they're conscious of is not so advanced that me and you, that you and I can't tap into it. We just have to know that it exists, that there are other states of consciousness that exist, and that we have the right to tap into it. But we have been what? Socially engineered to just be mediocre. Now, it may be too late for me, maybe for you, but not our, upcoming generations. It's not. To, have our offspring be a little more conscious, be a little more aware. How do we make them more aware? Number one, bring spirituality back for real. For real, bringing spirituality back is one of the things. Because like I said, when in that picture I was just talking about, they had people that were present there, that their area of expertise, meaning that they really had a fancy for, had to do with the organization of what existence, what was it called? The structure of existence, God, and consciousness or something like that. Different people dealing in the metaphysics. That's what they brought to the table. That is what fancied them. And they were sitting amongst engineers, politicians, military personnel, high-ranking military personnel, kings and queens and everything. They were equally as important. And those people in those rooms listened to these people and their study and their research. And I'll bring them up again because these people didn't spend, even though we know they was married and had kids, they wasn't preoccupied with a bunch of dang on drama. What I'm talking about, I'm seeing a bunch of drama in my community. People that went crazy. People are totally in their feelings, totally egotistical, all kind of stuff. Absorbed. Remember I was telling you about the dream state where we was in hell, gnawing on each other, didn't even know we was in close proximity with another person. gnawing on each other. That's what's taking place here. People don't even know that they're in hell. They don't even know that they're being tortured and tormented. That just like in that dream I had. Don't even know. And so I'm like, what can wake us up? Maybe that's not for me to unfold. Maybe the seed has been planted. It's been planted. You know, across the globe it's been planted. People are waking up. Maybe it's a whole nother part of the timeline of being that will awaken. You know? Anyway, I done rambled on so long. Hopefully this made sense. Made sense. If you can't take nothing else from it, I'm saying that there are higher levels of consciousness that we are eligible to tap into, but we have to want to tap into them. And how do we tap into them? Number one, you got to introduce yourself to it. You got to begin to research it, to meditate on it, to be one with it, and it becomes real. It's born into your consciousness and it expands. But if we want to be preoccupied with nonsense, that is where our consciousness will stay, and we will have to ride that wave. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I done rambled on and on and on and on and got emotional and fussy and preachy. I have not read any chat because I was a little channeling a little bit, but I will go back and read the chat. I thank you for coming here to Can Angels Fly, Tarot, and more, and entertaining me. Please like, share, and if you haven't already subscribed, if you're interested in support, you can always cash at me at $, Can Angels Fly, Tarot, more. Oh, no, that ain't it. That ain't it, is it? It's $, Can Angels Fly, Tarot. That's it. What else? I don't get that. Man, chance facing the wild, then this swamp dumpster fire, Bill, wise ass, the science not doctor guy, the one lady who shakes like a traumatized poodle, or I don't know, something wrong with folks. Like I said, they be in hell and don't even know it. Good night. Woo.